Okay, welcome everyone. Great to be again in Paris at EthCC. I think I've attended most of the EthCCs over the past few years, and it's always one of the most amazing events out there for the Ethereum community. So very happy to be here again. I'm going to be sharing my talk with Diego Oliva, who's the CEO of the Starknet Foundation. And mostly I want to share some exciting news with you. And it's all about, visions and predictions. And generally speaking, making predictions and talking about vision is very hard. Making predictions is very hard, especially concerning the future. Last year, we introduced a bunch of things. In particular, we talked about, or I spoke here about the proposal for decentralization of Starknet and the formation of a Starknet Foundation and the Starknet token. And this is an excerpt from the slide last year that said that our vision is about taking the culmination of 30 years of math made practical, a lot of it invented by Starkware, released first into the wild in our products, and taking this technology stack and making it public infrastructure like Ethereum and the internet. So this is what I said last year, what we said last year. And Starknet is the embodiment of this way to make the Stark technology a public good for the service of humanity. Starknet is live, is functioning, and I'll share a little bit about its progress so far. Last year, what I said was that, last year we said the functionality of Cairo, the programming language in Starknet, is good. The throughput is so-so, it needs to be worked on, and decentralization, we need to improve on that. And we said we solve for inclusivity of developers and bringing them on board. So 1 year out, throughput is now pretty astonishing. It's the best among all L2s. And we also are very proud of the developer inclusivity that we have and in general of the ecosystem. So this is going to be really about celebration of the ecosystem that is Starknet today. Ecosystem is the key to decentralization, and we've made a lot of progress. And the reason I'm talking to you here is that I want to invite all of you who haven't done so yet to explore Starknet and see if you want to deploy on it and work on it. So ecosystem and performance are connected. You increase the performance, make the system better, the ecosystem grows, you need to involve the ecosystem in the development and in the improvements in performance. In this way, as we expand both of these things, that's how we're going to get decentralization. So taking a step back, the past year has not been that good for blockchain development. If we look at the standard report by Electric Capital, who have been tracking for years the developer ecosystem across all blockchains. So in their report that was just released, I think, a week ago, they said that if over the past year, blockchain full-time developer numbers have dropped by an astonishing 22%. And you can go to their website, developerreport.com, and read all the details there. If you look at the top 10 blockchains in terms of full-time developers, you'll see that none of them have saw any increase in the number of developers, full-time developers, according to this report. And most of them, all but one, have actually significantly reduced, pretty much nearly all of them, but for Bitcoin, double-digit reduction in number of full-time developers. However, if you go to number 11, which is Starknet, according to this report, it is, first of all, the 11th largest ecosystem today in terms of full-time developers, but it is also the first ecosystem in terms of size that is actually growing, and it's growing at a very rapid pace. Another astonishing thing is that Starknet is much younger than all of the other top 10. So it's experiencing, according to this external report, a very impressive growth in the backdrop of reduction in the number of full-time developers. So here's a quote from one of the Ethereum OGs, Itamar Lesuis, the CEO of Argent, a leading wallet on Starknet and other L2s. Starknet's ecosystem feels like early Ethereum. It attracts the best talent in the space with its decentralized approach to development and innovation. And so this is coming from a leader in the Ethereum community who has been at it for a very long time. And it's not just people who have been focusing on layer 2s. Folks who have been very, very important in layer 1 Ethereum are also now exploring and moving over to Starknet. For instance, Uniswap. So the person who was until very recently the engineering lead in Uniswap for version 3 and 4, Moody Salem, has now left the Uniswap team after a very successful tenure there, and is the founder of a new AMM over Starknet. And this is what he has to say about the programming language, Cairo, of Starknet. I picked it up a few weeks ago, and I am as efficient in writing Cairo contracts as Solidity. It will be my preferred environment for writing smart contracts. So again, this is an Ethereum OG from Uniswap pedigree who's now moving over to Starknet, and these are just special cases of this bigger trend that you see also in the numbers. So again, see this as an invitation to come and explore what's going on at Starknet. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the recent upgrade to the network, and to do that, I'm going to need my pointer. So let me see now. I need the clicker here. Just one second. This is very complicated. Okay. So, there we go. So now I'm going to talk about the increase in performance that was done with the recent upgrade that received the community name, brilliant name, version 12, more TPS daddy, like this. Okay, so now it is something that came out of a deep collaboration of many, many parties inside the ecosystem. Two notable ones are Starkware and Lambda class that wrote the major component, which is the Cairo runner in Rust, and a lot more to come from Lambda class. So, and of course, all of the rest of the ecosystem needed to join along and so on. So what do we have there? I think I'm going to remove this thing now. So we have, at the turning on of version 12, we saw some very remarkable things. First of all, the transaction queue. There's a lot of demand for Starknet already. TVL just crossed $100 million yesterday. Woo! And is rising fast. The transaction queue went down from 2,000 to roughly 0 within minutes. And then the delay time went from roughly 20 minutes or even more down to 20 seconds, and it's pretty much at that rate right now. And then the TPS that was maxed at about 6 has now jumped up to about 54 max recorded TPS, and this is by no means the end. But right now, there's a lot of room for all the demand that arises. The next big step is going to be a dramatic reduction in cost due to reducing the cost of data on layer 1 through a combination of volition and EAP 4844. And of course, people on Starknet are going to have probably the earliest access to both of these things, and it's coming in the next upgrade. So, but our developers need more. You need the best experience for developing smart contracts, testing them, the fastest things. So I tweeted that I'm going to make an announcement, and then I'm also going to announce that in 2 days I'll make an announcement. So this is the announcement. Starknet Foundry is now live. So the Foundry project, the open source project spearheaded by Georgios and a beautiful open source community involving around 200 or more developers. Open source is the best framework for building and testing smart contracts and deploying them onto Ethereum. Well, it is now live also on Starknet. And it is a collaboration, again, talking about this ecosystem that feeds into performance and to decentralization. It's a collaboration of the team of Foundry, the open source community, spearheaded by Georgios, who, another Ethereum OG or general blockchain OG, and Maximilian and Tomasz leading the team at Software Mansion, who are OGs of development over Starknet and other platforms and are doing really amazing work. Previously, it was Protostar, the development framework that came from Software Mansion, and now all of this expertise is coming into Starknet Foundry. So it is already live. You can scan that QR code and go to the GitHub and start developing on it. It already has testing for Starknet, the fastest testing framework, really, really blazing fast. You should check it out. The testing is in Cairo, better development experience, and soon you'll have L1, L2 testing and a lot more. So Starknet Foundry joins this bigger thing that is the Starknet stack. And let's talk a little bit about this decentralized stack. So when people talk about stacks, sometimes in the L2 world, they refer to some monolithic, canonical, single package that they take and deploy. Our vision for the Starknet stack is actually something very decentralized, where you have many components you can choose from. This way you get redundancy, you get competition, and excellence. And so it's a little bit more like the Bitcoin stack or the Ethereum stack or a front-end stack. And indeed, already you have multiple teams, separate teams, building a lot of components, many of them open source, for various parts inside the stack. And then you also have teams that will be offering specific, combination of building blocks to give you a Starknet app chain. So for example, Lambda class is offering an app chain for Starknet that includes its very own full stack of Starknet in Cairo, a sequencer for Starknet, and a prover, all of it built by Lambda class. That's one flavor you can get. Another flavor is using Madara, a sequencer powered by Substrate, open source community project, and flexible for Starknet applications. And also, Starkware will be offering a full app chain as a service. And then you get Starkware support, and there's going to be exciting news about this particular thing in 2 days at Starknet CC. So if you haven't signed up, please sign up, and you'll hear some other exciting news there. Now, why use the Starknet app chain? Well, it has the very best technology, which is also battle tested. It has the very best language, modern language for writing smart contracts, according to Moody Salem and many others who are using it. It has already native account abstraction baked into the system, which means very good UX for end users already seen on the canonical wallets there, such as Bravos and Argent and MetaMask coming soon. It also has the Strongit ecosystem, Kakarot, the ZK EVM based on top of Cairo and Starknet, Herodotus for storage proofs, Dojo, the open source gaming infrastructure. If you want a gaming stack or a gaming app chain, probably going to be over Dojo, Giza, using machine language and AI platform, again, over Starknet. So all of these things are projects that are acquiring more people and inviting more people. Please talk to them, reach out, go to our booth, find a way to get involved. And now it's my pleasure and honor to invite the CEO of the Starknet Foundation, Diego Oliva, to tell us a little bit more.
Oh, good. Hello, everyone. I'm very, very excited to be here to introduce another, I think, very important milestone in the Starknet journey, which is the Starknet Foundation. And I'll start by introducing what we are up to at the Starknet Foundation and share our main objectives. So first of all is growth and decentralization. So for us, it's critical to be able to bring on board as many developers, projects, teams to continue building the infrastructure, the tooling, and the applications that will make Starknet a great experience for users. And also, as part as we introduce more teams, and hopefully hundreds and thousands of teams and engineers to come, that is a huge contribution to decentralization as well. That means that the more teams we have, the less dependent we are in a single or a few handful of teams, which is critical for our resilience, our transparency, our security, and it is fundamental that the foundation team facilitates that process. Number two, it's about culture and community. So as we continue to grow, obviously at the moment, the performance, the technical side of things are clearly critical, and we make great progress on that. But as we grow the ecosystem and we become a team of teams, having a very strong and aligned culture and principles will be fundamental for us to make strategic decisions for prioritization and to make sure that our community is closely aligned. And that brings to community as well. I think we're going to be making very hard decisions sometimes. We need to compromise into very different principles that maybe sometimes clash with each other, like speed and security, to state an obvious one, but many others. And you need a strong community with strong bonds of trust and understanding to be able to navigate the multiple ups and downs we'll definitely have in our journey. Number three is about governance and delivery. So very much linked to culture and community, governance is pretty much how do we facilitate and orchestrate as a, sorry? Oh, okay, is it better this way? How do we facilitate as a foundation a process where we can take decisions as a community in the best possible way? So that means that we will already have committees, but as we evolve and grow in size, what is the process we should have for decision-making, prioritization, and ultimately delivery? So the fact that we're a team of teams and are decentralized shouldn't slow down our pace of delivery, our efficiency, and so on. So that is another thing that the foundation should contribute to. Then, to achieve those objectives, our main areas of focus will be developer advocacy, which means all about education, onboarding, and training of developers. We will also be doing ecosystem growth, which is trying to recruit developers, projects, and teams onto the ecosystem, and that includes as well, once they've been onboarded, to connect them to the relevant projects, to help them find funding if necessary, and just make them successful businesses on Starknet. Then, as they grow, we are also establishing, as part of our token grant allocation as a foundation, that we have 5.1 billion tokens to give to support the growth of the network. We're establishing developer partnerships for teams to build tooling, infrastructure, and so forth. And we will have a team to assess those projects and monitor those projects. We'll have also a team's focus on product and research, but mainly to orchestrate and support and coach the community in actually building. So it's all about prioritization and helping the teams build rather than the foundation building ourselves. Another one is brand communication events. We need to make sure we make clear what is the differences, what values we have as an ecosystem. Business development, bring on strategic projects as well, so that we again have the best apps out there. Governance, as I spoke about before, and policy as well. So as a foundation, we also want to mature in a point where we become the voice of the community when it comes to policymakers outside. In any jurisdiction that's relevant, that we are the voice of the community that represents our interests and our interests of blockchain overall. In terms of some accomplishments already, with the help of our committees, we have an early adopter committee, onboarding committee, provisions committee, and developer partnerships committee, that with their help and their members of the community building these committees, we've already given grants to over 550 developers. We have again, granted projects, more than 70 projects with Start grants, and we have now more than 45 developer partnerships, and altogether we've already granted, even despite our youth as an organization, as a foundation, more than 300 million tokens to support the growth of our developers, projects, and teams on Starknet. So, some of the success stories Eli mentioned before, but I just want to mention just a couple of details, like very quickly, as we've ramped up on Starknet, we have amazing teams working with us. For example, Argent, one of our top wallets in the ecosystem, crossed already more than 1 million downloads. Brick, in the latest campaign, sold for more than $1 million NFTs, which was an amazing achievement. Bravos just launched a DeFi pooling feature, which was really incredible. Nethermind with Contribution Explorer of Voyager and the full node Juno, and well, many others that have been mentioned. But for example, Lambda Class, who joined us a little bit over a year ago, and we now have a core ecosystem partnership with them, actually made a core contribution to the upgrade of Quantum Leap, or more TPS Daddy, as the community prefers to call it. So, and why I'm mentioning this is that actually just a year ago, these projects were not quite, I mean, they already were successful, but all of the things I just mentioned just happened in the last year or less so. So all I'm trying to say is I invite you to come over and hopefully be the next success story at Starknet for next year. And we have, at the moment, about 1.2 billion Stark tokens to support developers, your projects, and your companies to come build on Starknet, build tooling, infrastructure, and interesting things for our community. So welcome on board. Join us in our journey with Starknet, and please join us at Starknet CC, where we can talk more. You can meet all of our top builders that will be there on Friday. So welcome, and yeah, thank you for being here, and hopefully see you soon on Starknet. Just, you know, if we have some time for questions, a few minutes? Yep, we do.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. Eli was mentioned there was 132 developers, but you mentioned about there's 550 developers. Which one is true, and what's the numbers of the developers right now?
I quoted 132 full-time developers counted by the Electric Coin capital. They also have a number of around 450 or so part-time developers, according to their count, measured in some way, some good way, June 1st, I believe. So we know of 550 plus, but maybe some of them, I think they go by like GitHub stuff and so on, so maybe, you know, we have like 100 more who haven't done GitHub commits with something that associates them with Starknet. But it's roughly similar numbers. Time for one more question.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, everyone, and see you on Friday for more questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.